Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. This is a continuation of my last video where we spoke about categorizing our B-roll footage in two categories, sequential and illustrative. This is a powerful tool to help us start to understand the footage that we actually have. In this video, I want to take that one step further and give us a bunch of tools that exist like glasses. So when we put them on and view our content through, it'll bring a lot more clarity to what we're actually looking at and help us deal with the overwhelm of all of the raw footage that we see when it comes to documentary editing. So if we look at this breakdown of a scene, this is a sequential scene of 5 minutes 30. These characters are simply loading up seedling trays onto a trailer, and then eventually that trailer moves away, and then one of the guys gets a hose out and waters the seedlings. So if you're just beginning your editing journey, that might be all you see in this footage. But it's important not to just rely on our intuition and filter our intuition of where we want to take this scene through a set of subjective questions that can help us reflect on the intent of what we're about to do to the scene. And this is a really powerful way to level up our intentionality when it comes to editing. It puts us in the driver's seat, in the seat of authorship, as we're editing, and gets us beyond just fumbling through footage and hoping that we're making good scenes. So question number one, what is this scene about? At face value, it's simply what it is. It's loading up seedlings onto a ute and driving off ready for the day's planting. However, let's dive one step further. Is this scene simply about that, or is it about the stress of having to load up the seedlings before 9 a.m. when the harvester arrives at a particular time and all of the schedules need to align? Or could it be a scene about our main character loving the fact that he's waking up early and enjoying the stillness of the morning as he's getting ready? Beyond the surface of what the footage literally is showing you, what is the deeper meaning of the scene? And allow that to then guide your interaction with cutting down the footage. Question number two, given the context of the scene, who are the main characters in the scene, and how can I cut this footage together to strengthen their journey throughout the overarching arc of the documentary? For example, we've got Toby, our main character here. We've also got one of the workers who is helping him a lot, but there are interactions between these characters as we work through this footage. For example, here they start to interact and have a discussion. Is it a scene about how much Toby loves working with his employees and how much he enjoys the fact that he can delegate work? Or is it a scene from the employee's perspective of what it's like to work for Toby and this organization? Question number three, what are the emotions of our main character within the scene that we need to strengthen as we are considering cutting this scene together? Is there a sense of urgency? Is there panic because the weather is caving in and they need to get these planted in the field before the weather turns bad? Is it a sense of calmness, or is there a lingering frustration that may have been carried from a prior scene? All of these questions are really important, and it helps us place this scene in context of the scene prior and the scene that is going to follow also. Now that we have a better idea of the primary three questions, when we go through and watch through our footage, we can watch a clip, for example, this little shot here. We can ask ourselves, does this speak to the main character's journey? Does this shot strengthen the emotion of the scene that we're trying to create? And then another question is this shot essential to explain the scene? If this scene is primarily about our main character and has nothing to do with other people involved in his journey, maybe the scene is about him enjoying the peace and tranquility of getting up early, that kind of solitude of getting up at 5 a.m. Obviously, this particular shot has 3 other people in it, and it doesn't strengthen the emotion that we're trying to create if that was the direction we're taking the scene. It would be much better to choose frames like this one of Toby getting out of the ute by himself, and then maybe a closer shot like this of Toby and his face loading up these trays. Another reason it's important to ask yourself questions about the scene is because when you come across footage like this one, we play that through, you can see it's a little bit shaky, probably not a great shot. However, if the intent of the scene is to create an unease or an uncertainty about what the weather is going to do later on in the day, and there's a little bit of a panic or a rush to get this loaded up and get out to the fields before the weather caves in, then all of a sudden this shot becomes perfect to strengthen the emotional intent of that direction of the scene. So to give you a practical example of these concepts, I have created 2 different cuts. These are really rough scene directions. So the first scene direction is about Toby, our main character, worrying about the weather and talking about how the weather is the main challenge when it comes to planting produce out in the fields. There's an intensity to it, and the B-roll shots that I've selected lean into that emotion and that vibe. Now the second cut is lighter, it's a bit more upbeat, and it's about Toby, our main character again, but this time he's talking about how nice it is to have employees that he can trust, and it makes his life easier. 2 very different scene directions, however, we're using the exact same B-roll footage. That's why it's super key to understand the intent of the scene before we start approaching our B-roll footage and cutting it down. So let's take a look at those 2 examples.
The big challenge is the weather. That's the biggest challenge. You never know what next week is going to be like. I enjoy the challenge of having to be adaptable. You might have a plan for the start of the day. Within 2 hours, that's totally changed.
So that's one option. Let's take a look at another example.
You have to put a lot of trust in your staff. We couldn't run the farm without them. Having a team that you can trust, that makes my job a lot easier here.
So there you go, that's 2 different scene options, and you can start to see how important it is to understand the emotion, the intent, the main characters of the scene before going too deep and crafting the scene with your B-roll. It's obviously really important to be driven by the A-roll, which is the interview content. Obviously music selection is really important, but the key for this video is if you're an editor struggling to make really decisive editing decisions, just put the filter of these questions like glasses over your eyes and start looking at your footage through these questions. If you like this video, please give it a like, please subscribe to this channel and drop a comment in the comment box below. Be sure to get back to you. For now, peace out, and we'll see you in the next video.